Hey everyone, this is John with the Engaged Youth Forum. And let me make sure, see if I can put this in gallery view. I want to make sure we have the faces on the screen so that you all can see what I get to see all the time. I just love these young people. This is the Engaged Youth Forum, issues facing the youth with answers from the youth. And as you know, what we do is we try to come up with some topics that we think are of interest to our youth, and then give them an opportunity to talk about things that they believe are of value. They will share with you their opinions on different things. They will share with you what they think they would do or suggestions that they may have. This is a youth forum where we get them and give them an opportunity to give feedback. We're not telling you what to do. We're not trying to give advice. We take no responsibility if you try some of their suggestions and they don't work for you. This is what has worked for them in their experiences or what they've observed. And so we're so excited about today's topic. Before we do that, though, we want to go ahead and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we're going to get going.
All right. Well, I am Jania. I am the designated old person because God Daddy is not old.
Thank you, Janita. And you can say that as many times as you want to. All right.
Hi, I'm Tony and I'm 12.
Hi, Tony. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Mila and I'm 12 too.
Hi, Amala. Welcome back. We're so glad that you're back with us, and we hope that you had a wonderful time while you were away. All right. Well, today's topic, we're still, as you all know, we're still in the midst of this pandemic. Some of our past topics included whether or not it was too early to reopen. What about people who may not be following the rules? We had all of those discussions. And so the government decided that they would start opening in phases. And now there seems to be a spike in the number of cases again. And so, but during all of this, we've had so many discussions about whether or not the church, what role the church had, or the faith community, the spiritual community had with regards to dealing with this pandemic. Some churches have not, churches closed for a little while, but then they said, we're going to live by faith. And so they opened up, and we had consequences as a result of that. Most churches tried to start revising how they were doing their services. Some churches are still have yet to reopen because they're being wise and they're taking their time. Okay, but regardless of what role that the spiritual community took, our young people were still impacted in some way. And so today we have a few questions for you. Our first question is, as a young person, what has been your expectation of the spiritual community during this pandemic?
Um, Mainly for me, I kind of expected more involvement community wise. For like even for my job, where it's a Christian community based job. So even in the training, there were scriptures when I was going through it.
Hmm.
And from the beginning of the pandemic, we never closed, but we did put lots and lots of precautions. Nobody came inside the store. But I kind of was expecting them to do something similar to what I was seeing, because even with my job, they were like going out and they were like feeding the first responders, and we sold, I think, almost, I know, over almost 100,000 like meals for first responders. Yeah, and it was all in donation. It was like a $20 donation per box or 10. It was somewhere around there, but I expected more of an outreach from the church, even if it wasn't open doors. I expected more like outreach in a way that they would preach to people, or they would bring some peace to people that were worried, that don't have a very good connection with God. But a lot of people, they could turn around and do things that are not very very good in that way. They Some people did not reinforce their connection with God. They might have turned around because they don't have the constant connection that new Christians need or older Christians need. I was expecting more of a connection with the community.
Very nice, very nicely said, very nicely worded. Tony, what did you expect from, or how have what's been your expectation from the spiritual community?
I was expecting most churches not to like let everybody worry, like try to calm people down. Like you're saying that you believe and have faith that God is always protecting you, so why are you so scared of a virus? Like just like to help encourage people that they don't have to fear because God's still in control. But like not lots of people did that. Like you know how on the news like they interview people whose like jobs are closing and stuff. Yeah, this one guy who was running a church, he said that we need to close down all the churches or else people are gonna get the virus and stuff, and like just making a lot of people freak out. And I was like, but we're supposed to encourage people and like to help them to have faith, not to get them worried about a virus. So like I thought they should just like not worry so much and put their trust in God.
Okay, all right, interesting. All right, very good. Mila?
Well, me personally, I thought it was a good idea that they shut down the churches a little bit because I felt like it was good that they weren't letting anyone get the virus and coming around there. But I also thought it was kind of bad for people who don't like know God as well and things like that, and so they'll turn away easier and they won't be able to actually be with God and stay with Him. So.
All right. So two of you I understand, and maybe Tony, maybe you said that too in a different way. But it seemed like this would have been a really good opportunity to do some outreach to try to encourage or win some of those people who are believers by how we carried ourselves. Is that what I think I've heard from you all? Okay, I see some head shakes. Very good. All right. So we had Carmen also. Carmen is not able to be with us today because she's on an assignment with her family. But she did give a response, and I want to read her response. She says, I can say to answer today's questions, I expect some people of faith in God to be tried during this pandemic. But just like Job in the Bible, we have to continue to keep faith. Some have lost their jobs and are right now continue to struggle, but they must see the light at the end of the tunnel. And within my community, I don't hear or see many religious acts, but my friend and I actually have created a Bible study within ourselves because as teenagers, we all go through some things mentally and emotionally, and we're used to going to church every Sunday, but it stopped due to COVID-19. So she said, and that's kind of answering one of the questions in the future, but she said that she too was looking for some involvement from spiritual community, but they took some initiative on their own. All right. So our second question, and we're gonna start, I think, with Amila on this one. The second question is, how well do you feel the spiritual community has met your expectation?
Well, like I said earlier, I think that it was a good idea for them to shut down. So I think that pretty much was good for me. I think that was a pretty good idea, but it's good. I think they did pretty good. Most churches did pretty good by just shutting down and starting to do it online. So I think it's met my expectation.
Okay, very good. And Amila, I want to take your comment and I'm going to present it to Jania and Tony for their input. Is that okay? All right. So Amila said that for safety reasons, she thought that shutting down the church was good. Um, and let's just go under the assumption that we have a population especially in our churches where we have a older African Americans. All right. And those were later on we found out that those were the individuals who seemed more susceptible to the virus. So is it possible that the decisions by some of the spiritual leaders actually worked out to help prevent the loss of life, Tony or Janita?
Um, because they're older, closing down the churches does help, and also you can still stream online. So it wasn't that bad of an idea, but some people don't have access to technology like others. So,
Okay.
you know.
I kind of looked at it like this. I feel like the pastors that are very connected to God and they're listening for his direction. I believe that the ones that closed their churches, they were either told to when they prayed on it, because I'm assuming that a pastor, once they heard about the pandemic and they heard that older people were susceptible to it, and there are usually more so a bigger population of older people, if not a smaller. Either way, there are going to be people susceptible to the virus that go to any church. I feel like if they closed the doors, they were told to close the doors. Um, but there's also the fact that some churches, they didn't even try to reach out electronically. And some churches, they may have heard to close the doors, but they may have misinterpreted it as completely stop, which is something that a church really should never do. Um, I feel like the doors should have been left open, but in different ways. A lot of churches closed it completely, where they didn't reach out in the community, they didn't reach out electronically, they didn't do anything. They just closed their doors, and they didn't even send out a word of, the Lord is doing this for a reason.
Right.
You need to pray, instead of just leaving it silent and letting people worry, because some people depend completely on the church to have a relationship with God. Like, that's their only way. So I believe that most churches did what they were supposed to.
Go ahead. Go
Got
ahead.
here. But I feel like the churches did okay, but they definitely could have did a lot better. If I feel like a lot of churches didn't even pray before they acted.
Okay. So for those who were led by God, or those who were not led by God, communication still would be key, and sharing with the members what actions they were taking. All right, very good. All right. Tony, how well do you think the church has met your expectations?
Wait, I already answered the question.
Okay, I thought you were responding to Amila's part. All right, then we'll go to the last question. All right, and remember we heard some of Karma's response on what she's doing. We asked, what do you feel can be done to make your experience better? And maybe you've alluded to that a little bit. I know that Karma said that what she did is she went and she started a Bible study on her own. I'm going to read her last part of her statement. She said, they created the Bible study. In my opinion, there is nothing anyone could do to help with our experience during this time, but give encouraging words. A prayer and kind word can go a long way. But what I'm saying is that this pandemic is a challenge to our spiritual relationship with God. And this is a battle we would have to fight on our own. So those were her thoughts. So Tony, what, again, last question, what do you feel can be done to make yours across the churches? Some churches still haven't opened up yet. What can be done to make your experience better? That we're still in the pandemic. People are still being contracted or have testing positive for the virus. Some churches still have yet to open up, even though they may be planning now how they're going to reopen. Until you are able to physically return, how can the faith or the spiritual community make this a good experience for you?
Wait, you're saying like online?
Online, reaching out, what would you like to see
I
from
would
as a
like
young person?
I would like to see like churches, more churches like doing online, not just big churches, but like churches where lots of people, like you know, how, like some people want to stay with the same church and not go to like a bigger church sometimes.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the smaller churches, because I don't see like lots of small churches like doing online. But like also seeing them reach out to the community, like feeding people or like helping out charities that are feeding people who have the virus or like don't have enough money to take care of themselves during the virus, or like just like trying to spread the word during quarantine. Like you can do church emails or Zooms and streams and like have like really small Bible studies inside your own house, like stuff like that, so it can help the community.
Okay. So again, back to the communicating and then just making sure that they are spreading the gospel in some capacity. Okay, very good. Janelle, what about you? Actually, I'm sorry. Let's go with Amila and then Janelle. I think we'll ask you to come last.
I think how like us as a community can help people is to like go online and try to give words of encouragement to people, and if people like need help, try to help them through online. But other than that, I don't really think there's anything else you can really do to help people during this time. So, yeah.
Okay. So now you said go online and try to spread the gospel or seek if to see if there's someone who has a specific need. Okay. All right. Go ahead. You're muted.
Um, for me, I really just want communication pretty much on any level at this point. The church that me and my family usually attend more often, it's in Ormond Beach, and I've gotten maybe like 2 emails this whole time, and it's just been about how they're not going to have church and just like wishing us well, and then it would like end. So I want clear communication and more frequent communication, as in if we go to church every Sunday and then we have Bible study on Wednesdays or whatever, then that's when we need to have communication. I feel like even if we can't go physically to the church, we should still have a part of the church with us, that community and the words that a pastor can give to you. But I feel like I don't really need them to open the doors right now because we are going through a spike in the pandemic. There's supposed to be 2 spikes or more, and I feel like a lot of people aren't educated on that, so they're anxious to get back into the church. But unless God specifically says open the doors, I don't feel like it's wise. I feel like, if anything, if he doesn't specifically say open the doors, then the doors are supposed to be closed for a reason. It means that most of the congregation is probably too dependent and not having a one-on-one connection with God the way that we're supposed to. So if the doors are closed and the Lord isn't telling him to open the doors, that's a sign that you're supposed to be talking to him until you can go back in the church. That's pretty much
And we will say, all righty then.
it.
Yeah. That's one thing that I think has surfaced for many, where we had become so accustomed to depending on our spiritual or religious leaders for communicating to God on our behalf. And now we have an opportunity, and the opportunity has been there all along, but many people may not have felt the need to take advantage of. Now we have an opportunity to go to God through his word, through prayer, through meditation. So yeah. All right. This was not one of the questions, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on specifically as a young person, as a teenager or a young adult, what do you want to see from your ministry that will help you at during this time? And I know, Janelle, you said communication, and I think that may be But are there any things that your ministry can do specifically that you feel that as a young person would reinforce or strengthen your relationship with God?
Honestly, I've taken this time and I'm enjoying my one-on-one relationship with God. The only thing that would kind of not exactly boost things, but it would feel nice to just have, and I understand that there's a lot of people in the congregation at the church that we go to, but even if in just groups and spread out through the staff, if they could just meet with people who want to ask questions that they're not yet hearing in prayer, be answered, if they can shed some light on something, or if they have experience according to like this that we're doing now, but people that have more experience in life. And just sometimes you just need other people to pray with. That's one of the main things about a church. It's about being able to connect with the community, not so much needing the community to connect with God, but it is nice to have a community that's already connected with God. So it's like meetings or something like that, just an outreach to groups of people that have requested or that are in programs already. Programs at the church where it's like new Christians and stuff like that, or teenagers that need guidance, reaching out to those people that already have said that they need guidance would be very nice, because some people do need the companionship.
Okay, thank you. All right, Amila, what specifically as a young person, what would you like to see from the your spiritual family?
Um, well, I already know that my church has this, but they have like for kids, because kids will drift away from things easily. They have like this Jones Church thing where kids can actually attend it. I thought that'd be nice for like other churches if they have like many children there and things like that. And yeah, that's basically all I found out.
Okay, so do you think that would address you as your age group, or are you? Okay, very good. All right, Tony, what specifically would you want from your your faith-based, your spiritual family?
Like Jania said earlier, I'm like enjoying my relationship one-on-one time that I already have with God, because I've been reading my Bible and like doing a lot more to make my relationship stronger with God. But also like send an email or something, or like have like a prayer time for like people who like aren't in church. Like it would be nice to like for them to like send emails and like casually ask how people are doing, or like have a website where we could like talk about stuff we want to pray about, so that we could reach out to each other and pray for people.
Very good. All right. Well, everyone, this is the Engaged Youth Forum. Issues facing the youth with answers from the youth. And I say it so often, but our young people, they are thinkers. And that's an unusual quality in a lot of our population today. So many people won't think, but our young people are willing to think, and they think deeply and insightfully, and they share their thoughts. And so it is always a pleasure. And I hope that as you watch these videos, that you will find something that may spark an interest within you. And I just want to remind you that if you have youth in your group, in your circle, who you think may be of some value to this setting, or maybe to benefit from hearing some of the things our young people saying, that you'll feel comfortable sharing it. All right. Well, I'm going to ask you all to unmute. You all know what time it is. All right. It is about a little just before 3:15 on Wednesday, June the 24th. And if you've not had someone to come into your life today to remind you of just how great you are, to remind you of just a wonderful creation that you are, they should affirm you and tell you how valuable you are. Give us the privilege. We want to be that person in your life to remind you, one, 2, you're still muted, Amila. 3, you
You are
are
important.
Important.
important. And don't you ever forget it. All right, you all be blessed, and hopefully we'll see you all next week. And it was a good seeing you again, Amila. And congratulations on graduating, Jania. Tony, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.